Hello, my name is Dave, and I am a life coach and storyteller. And today, my life coaching category story is about dating. So that rolls up in my life coaching framework under life partner management. And as some of you might have seen through some of the stories that I've been sharing on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'll eventually get them on my website, I'm single and don't want to be. So I'm actually in the dating space myself. And I thought, you know what? As a storyteller, I'm going to share some of what I'm calling Dave's dating trials and tribulations. So I've been sharing a bunch. As I say, it's been 7 months. I'm going to put together a little video highlighting, some of the things that I've learned. I'm also coming up with what I'm calling Dave's 7-prong approach to dating. So I will share that as well. I've got 9 of them right now. I want to whittle them down to 7 because I'm a big James Bond fan. So everything has to be 7. So somebody sent me a video from Simon Sinek who's saying, the dating process is very similar to the sales process. And what I've been learning from my, 7-prong approach as I'm putting it together, I think it is. And it's also very similar to the business development process. So, those of you who are starting a business could actually learn from those who are out there dating, and the same thing for people who are looking for jobs. So anyhow, that's another story. The story I wanted to talk to you about today is I'm calling it Terror on the Beach. So yes, it can get scary out there. It can get frustrating in this process, very frustrating. I can't tell you how many times I look at some of these dating profiles and they're just saying, I'm up here for the 10th time. I'm up here the 12th time. I'm going to give it a try. I've been at it for 7 months. I'm on about 8 or 9 different sites. And, a lot of women who I've talked to are so frustrated. They kind of like just, they'll shut down their profiles and they're just kind of, not doing anything. So my approach, it was one of my fellow colleagues told me, Dave, action trumps fear. So I'm thinking, you know what? Action trumps loneliness. I've actually got this little sign I have here. It's a reminder. So it says, don't despair, Dave. Action trumps loneliness. So I kind of keep that one as I'm going through the dating process. So anyhow, somebody came out with a question for me recently, and this is the question. They said, are you using dating apps or trying to meet someone organically? So this is going to be my long-winded question to that. I have really been using the dating apps. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know what organic dating was. I actually had to Google it. So I Googled it, and the way I do my Google research is the first thing that comes up is what I take. And the first thing that came up, I'm going to share it for you in a sec. But first, I just wanted to just cover off the dating apps because I said that is rarely where I've been. I'm going to do a separate video and share some of my insights and some of the, I guess I call it the good, the bad, the pure ugly, and the great. But first, there's a book I wanted to just share with you that I've been doing a little bit of research. This is my cousin. I told my cousin, I'm out there dating. I'm just, I'm not being very successful. It's been 7 months. So she said, here, my cousin's a writer as well. She said, Dave, here, I'm in a writing group. This is one of the other writers. Sally Morgan wrote this book. It's called An Alphabet of Men, Dating My Way from Adam to Zach. I just find she just does a great job of explaining a little bit what's out there, the frustrations, kind of how it works in a really humorous way. So I'm only up to Bob so far. But if you're out there on the dating and all that, I think you can go take a look at that, ladies. Guys, if you want to go in there, it's kind of like going into the locker room of the opposing football team, and they're going in there, they're going over their playbook with you, and you get to listen in. So guys, you want to get a copy as well. I'm hoping I don't have to get all the way from A to Z to find this special woman in my life, but who knows, maybe her name is Zelda. So Zelda, I'm coming. I haven't even started, I think I'm probably at the D's and the D's for dating. So that's the online dating. So getting back to the organic. So I go out there, I Google, and this is what I came out with. How to meet new people organically. Ditch the dating app, in my case, 8 of them. 6 tips for meeting people. And this is from Ask Men, Become a Better Man. So ladies, sorry, I think this just applies to guys. So you're going to have to go find Ask Women, Become a Better Woman to get your organic tips. But you can listen in on these and, let me know if whoever wrote this article, I forget his name now. It's the guy who wrote it. So anyhow, ladies, what you can weigh in on this. But here's what he said. Contrast that, so contrast the dating app, contrast that with meeting someone organically, not knowing a single thing about the person you're about to approach aside from their looks. And it's easy to see why the prospect might appear terrifying. Terrifying. That's why I'm calling my story Terror on the Beach. I'll explain that in a sec. Your mind starts thinking of all the ways it could potentially go wrong. The questions start, and despite trying, they never let up. Should I offer to buy them a drink? Spoiler alert in a sec. That was the approach that I took. Not very original, but as you're going to see, it's the first time. Yesterday was the first time in my 56 years on the planet Earth that I finally got the courage to go up to a woman who I did not know a single thing about, but I found her attractive. So first time ever I had the courage to go over there and talk to her. And that was what I used, was the line, the most unoriginal line possible. But cut me some slack, it was my first time. Is it best to start with a compliment? I also did start with a compliment too. So I guess I had read this article. Although the buy him a drink thing, anyhow, I'll come back to that. I had some help from my son's, a woman who reached out to him with a line to connect with him, and I kind of used that as well. So thanks for sharing that with me, Shane. How do I make sure I don't come off as creepy? So I also followed that. I'll share that in a sec. Why does life have to be so hard? So apparently I'm not the only one who finds it quite daunting to go out there and meet, perfect strangers out there. Actually, I tried it once before when I was single about 4 or 5 years ago. I went to Las Vegas. I had points. I had hotel points, airline points. So I went down there, and my goal was to go out there and meet some women. So I got myself all set up. I'm out by one of the pools. There's people all over the place. I've got my bucket of Coronas next to me. Anyhow, long story short, as I was summing up my courage, I was drinking liquid courage. And finally, I was in the hot tub. There was a woman across from me. I got the courage to just go over there and say hi. And I had drank so much liquid courage that I could no longer talk. So I just kind of, like, she looked at me. She was out of that hot tub. I think she went and checked out of the hotel. So anyhow, that was not good for the morale. So here I am, light years ahead to yesterday. So anyhow, I'd gone to a beach a few weeks ago. There's a new beach. I live in Montreal in Canada. So they built a new beach downtown, and you go in there and it's like free for the summer and all that. They're encouraging people to come back out to the city. So anyhow, I came across it. I went in there one day, and I just happened to have my bathing suit in the car. So I went, sat down. And by the way, I'm making this long story long. So grab a glass of wine or something if you want to continue and listen to this. So anyhow, I'd been on the beach and I saw someone, wow, really attractive. I thought, do I go over and talk to her? I said, no way. So anyhow, I went back about a week later. I saw another woman who's kind of attractive. I was with my daughter. So I was with my 15-year-old daughter. So I told my 15-year-old, I don't know if, I'm overstretching my boundaries. I said, that woman over there is attractive. She goes, Dad, you're not going to go over and talk to her, are you? I said, Emily, no, I'm not. You don't have to worry about that. Dad is terrified to go talk to people he doesn't know. Yeah, especially if it's in a romantic context. It's in the romantic context. So anyhow, after that, like, I'm talking to my sister, I said, you know what, I'm doing this, somebody's asked me about, are you using the organic? I said, I've got to try this. I've got to try it once. I've got to summon the courage. I have to go out and do it. I'm not allowed to use props. So most women on the beach are reading books. I'm a writer. I've written a book, so I can look at the book. Most of them are self-help books. I've got them all in my library. To go over there and connect, that would be maybe easier, maybe too easy. So I had to do this at least once. So anyhow, I told my sister, and my sister's also my best friend. So I told my sister, I'm going to do this. I said, I got this line from my son, and we're off and ready. So anyhow, yesterday I decided I'm going to the beach. It's nice out. So I go there, I text my sister. I say, okay, I'm at the beach. She responds back, reminds me of the line to go over there and finally get the courage and talk to somebody. So she's rooting for me. So I get in there, I sit down. As I'm setting up, this woman sets up right in front of me, really attractive. Like, her chairs, like almost like looking at them, like she did it on purpose. There's nobody else around us. So I have to worry if I go down there, get shot down the walk of shame back to my chair. So I'm convinced I'm going to do it. Like this is it. If this is it. So anyhow, about an hour and a half later, after I've gone through my strategy, all these other things that I've learned, I'm getting ready to go see her. So that's when I remembered a friend of mine. She actually had taken some time to try and teach me. She goes, Dave, I'm going to help you. I'm a woman. I'm going to tell you what would I be looking for if I'm in a bar, Dave. If I'm interested in you, I'm going to look at you, and maybe look away, look again. If I'm not looking, if a woman's not looking at you, it means she's not interested. If she looks at you, looks away, so don't even approach her. It's not going to go well. So anyhow, and I also read that. So I'm reading this book. It's called The Man's Guide to Women: Scientifically Proven Secrets from the Love Lab About What Women Really Want. So I'm checking it. Is this really what she wants? And on page 42, it says, if she wants you, she will put a bid in your direction. Sounds like something you do to get a consulting job or something. But anyhow, bid in your direction, it works in dating too. The most common bid is direct eye contact, a smile, repeatedly glancing at you and away from you. These are the signals. What you do with them is up to you. So I thought she kind of looked over at me, but she was wearing sunglasses, so I can't really tell her eyes, but she looked over at least once, maybe twice. So that was enough for me to say, you know what, you got to do it, man. You're pumped up. Get out there. So after my hour and a half of everything, and I had the line in the whole bit, so I went over there and I said, I've got something to tell you and I have a question for you. So there we go. You know what my question is. And the first thing I said was a compliment. She had this really, really nice hat. I loved her hat. So I said, well, you've got a really nice hat. And by the way, this was in French. So it's my second language. That's even harder for me. We're bilingual in Montreal, so chances are, a lot of people are francophone. So I figured, she's probably francophone. I'm going with that. So I told her hat's nice, and she looks at me and says, "Well, thank you." And then I said, "Well, I'm going to get myself a drink. Can I offer you something?" And then she said, "Well, no, thank you. I'm going to a concert tonight, so I've already got a drink." And then she kind of looked at me a bit, and I'm kind of thinking, okay, this look, and I made an assumption, not a hypothesis. So the 4 agreements, which I talked about by Don Miguel Ruiz, say, Dave, don't make an assumption, have a hypothesis you can test out. So she was looking at me, I just assumed it's kind of like she's saying, leave me alone. So I just said, well, thank you very much. She was really nice. And she was really kind. Like she was really kind, just to look in her voice and everything. So I walked back to my chair, and it wasn't a walk of shame. I was so excited that I had actually had the courage. Like, my God, I felt better than, it's like walking up to get my graduation degree when I finished university. I'm sitting down, I'm going to write a story about this. I'm so excited. And I'm looking over at her. I'm thinking, how can I remember her? Like, this is such a great opportunity to talk about creepy. I'm not going to take a picture of her. I thought, a friend of mine told me of the word appreciation. I said, I'm going to go over there and tell her how much I appreciate how caring and kind she was. So anyhow, I'm here I am. I'm almost manic. I'm so excited. So I start walking over to her. So she kind of looks up, and I'm kind of, oh God, here comes this guy again. What's he going to do now? Offer to buy me dinner? I just told him I'm not interested in a drink. So I went over there, and we're Canadian, so we have a tendency to over apologize. I went over there. I apologized profusely for coming over there again. I told her that I really appreciated I told her this is the first time I've ever had the courage to come up to a woman and ask her before I'm 56 years old. And she said, "Why? Well, you did a pretty good job." So, whoa, that was a good for the morale. So anyhow, I just said, well, I wanted to just say how nice you were and how kind in the whole bit. And then, I just took off, right? Because I was kind of bothering her. I felt badly about that and bothering her a second time. So I went back, I'm sitting there, and, a half hour later, I was about to leave. So, I started going off and went to my car. And then I remembered when I went over to talk to her a second time, she was reading a book. She was reading a self-help book. And it was Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. And I had actually talked about that book in my book. So here I'm thinking, you know what? Now I can use my props. Although I wasn't really thinking that way. I just thought, my God, I'm going to give her a copy of my book. I didn't even think of it as a prop then. So I went in my car, I had a copy. I had asked her name. When I went there, I said, you know what? Can you tell me your first name? I want to remember you. So yeah, so I remember her and her name was Millie. So I went, got my book. I signed it to Millie. I wrote a little something in there for her, which I won't share with all of you because it's kind of my gift to her. And the book was my gift to her. The book was my gift to me, which is great because I can gift it to other folks as well. So here I was, I'm going to go give her the book. So I walk in, the people who work at this beach place said, oh my God, it's you again? Yeah, sorry, I've got to give a book. So I went down, I pulled up my car keys and dangled them so that she would know as I approached her that, maybe he's leaving now. At least he's got his car keys. So I went up again, apologizing profusely. I'm sorry, I'm leaving. Here are my car keys as proof. And I said, I just wanted to give you a copy of my book. And she started talking, oh, really? Where are you from and all that? And you know what? I don't even remember what I answered. I just wanted to get out of there. So I was just get out of there, end the pain for you, end the pain for her. So I gave her my book and I said, if you don't want this thing, give it to somebody else, throw it in the garbage or whatever. And she said, you know what? I'm going to read it and then I'm going to give it to somebody else. So she was really nice. So Millie, if you're ever watching this video and stuff like that, I really appreciate you helping me out. But that's it. I'm not going out without using my book in the future. Somebody told me that women like writers. I'm a writer. I am going to use whatever advantage. I'm going to play to my strengths, as I always say, and I'm going to go out there using that. So there you go. That is my story of terror at the beach. And I guess I share that with you because we can try all these different ways, but there are other different ways to try as well. And sometimes they're really scary. And I think I kind of, if I look back on it, I think I kind of made it fun, talking to everybody and getting other people in on it. And you know what? I wasn't really terrified when I went over there. It was actually, I was kind of excited to actually go and try that out. So I encourage all of you. It's tough. It's frustrating. I don't know how many women I've reached out to on the dating apps, and you don't even hear anything back. What keeps me going is I've actually had success. So I've actually fallen in love with two women who I met through a dating app. So for me, the dating apps were always going to be over there. The other ways work too. I had a friend of mine who introduced me to another woman. That's another way of doing it. That's another organic way as well. And I fell in love as well. So it's 2-to-1 on the dating apps as far as falling in love. So I don't know how I'm going to meet Zelda. I don't know how I'm going to meet you, but I'm convinced that we're coming out there at some point in time. I'm going to try every way I can. So thank you anyhow for putting up with me for this story, and I wish you all the best. And remember, the dating process works for all kinds of other processes too. So even those who aren't dating, and once you've met that person, you could use it for finding your next job.